Hey astronauts, this is Brandy and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. This week's reading is How Controversial Are You? What are people saying about it? Who are these people? We're going to get into that in a moment. But before we do, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell to stay notified of future readings. You can also follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research. And links to the social media can be found below. Now, let us get into these piles. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey, pile number 1, let's get into how controversial are you. We have the High Priestess. We have the, I can't flip this over. We have the 7 of Cups. We have the 9 of Pentacles. We have the World. We have the Ace of Pentacles. And we have Susta Bisha. Or it could be Bishta. I always switch the pronunciation. But Susta Bisha. So, in terms of controversy, I'm not gonna lie, Susta Bisha is kind of a really kind of controversial, stirring like placement. And that's because it's a Rahuvian placement. And if you see the way the North Node and the South Node, or Rahu and Ketu move, they go against the opposite way the other planets move. So they're doing things differently, which is why you have a lot of people with Susta Bisha known as geniuses or being like very innovative, and especially in the artistic field and the world of inventions and etc. like that. So very, very controversial because you're doing things a little bit differently, a little bit new. And Susta Bisha is kind of known as like, I guess, I don't know, like a puppet master like energy, because they're about like analyzing things from multiple directions and kind of like orchestrating certain events, or sometimes in a negative way. It could be like controlling people around them. Or it could just be like trying to stir up controversy. It reminds me of that movie, I believe it's like Cruel Intentions. And I think the main girl has a Susta Bisha placement. Gosh, I can't remember. The girl plays Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Why she's super famous, I can't remember. But basically kind of shows off like that energy of kind of like, let me not only mess with the people around me, because it's hypocritical the way they treat me as a woman versus how they treat, I guess her stepbrother or half the stepbrother as a man. And then not only that, but she manipulated her stepbrother as well. So not saying you're manipulative or anything like that, but Susta Bisha is a placement known for just being very intelligent, and because of that, they have a way of controlling the narrative or the things around them. So, and that for me connects to the High Priestess energy, because the High Priestess is like this figure who kind of stands in the background and waits and watches and listens. And so people kind of see you as a person who's like absorbing, taking everything in, and really observing the people around you. That's what they really see you as. They see you as somebody who is, I guess you're just more of a independent type of person. Somebody who is very much like wanting to do things in their own unique way. And I can tell from the Ace of Pentacles as well as Susta Bisha. And then the World card represents endings. And so they see you as somebody who can be very worldly, or just have a lot of experiences with different cultures, different backgrounds, having a lot of different knowledge, or different just experiences in life. And I think the main thing that they're saying is more like you're going your own path, especially with this 9 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles there. They see you as somebody who is, I guess it's not like a negative controversy. Again, it's more just like this person is going against what may be typical or expected of them in whatever society or culture that you are a part of. It's just saying that, yeah, they see you as somebody like, I have all these options and I'm going to exercise them in the way that I see fit. And I'm going to do something that I believe best suits my needs, best suits what I'm looking for. And it's almost like you've, I don't know, created this plan in your head. Like, people see you as like very self-assured, essentially. And because you are self-assured, it seems like you just have a world of experiences and that you're someone who can like take on anything. So a lot of people will see you as very confident, very eccentric, very much sort of like even a loner. I don't know if mysterious, maybe, yeah, mysterious is the right word, because we do have the High Priestess and we also have Sustabisha. And like I said, because Sustabisha is this placement where you have a lot of people who are very intelligent, and because they like to poke out the hypocrisies of the world around them. Something I've noticed, and this is not just Sustabisha, this is a lot of placements in Aquarius, they tend to go towards being like a hermit or being like very isolated, kind of like, or pulling away from society, like this High Priestess energy or this Nine of Pentacles energy, just like being in their own element, pulling away from people, not really wanting to just surround themselves with a bunch of different energy, especially as they get older. They're like, I just want to be able to be myself, be in my own world, do what I want to do without having to be under the watchful eye of, you know, the masses, is something that I have seen. So people do, I guess it's like not that, it's not that bad. They just kind of find that you're somebody who is atypical. And trying to think what it is specifically that the cards are trying to indicate. It's just like you're very eccentric. And I guess it's just you being eccentric is the thing that's making them... You being eccentric is the thing that makes you controversial. I don't know if it is that you like to experience different cultures. I've met people who had Sustabisha placements, or I've seen people, I should say, with Sustabisha placements, and they may like to take on a different culture, and people could see that as cultural appropriation. They might like to talk in an accent that is different from, I guess, their normal regional dialect, because they just like that accent. It's not like they're trying to be rude. But that's another thing that Rahuvian placement would do, because Rahuvian placements like foreign things. They may be very, very like, especially women, I see this a lot, they may be very pro-sexual female empowerment, and that could be controversial if they like to expose their body a lot. Somebody who has a Sustabisha placement would be like Rihanna. I believe her moon is in Sustabisha, or her sun. I think it might be her son. I don't know. One of her placements is in Sustabisha. And you know, she's known for being not shy about her body, not shy about her sexuality. Just very much somebody who likes to express themselves. I've seen women who were, I guess, female, sexuality coaches, where they teach people about, you know, intimacy, especially when it comes to sexuality. And they had Sustabisha placements. Women who were, adult film stars who had Sustabisha placements. And not only did they have Sustabisha placements, but they were like not shy about it. Because sometimes you get that element of like shame or secrecy. You can get a lot of secrecy from Sustabisha as well. But this person was like, I'm not going to apologize for wanting to express my, sexuality however I want to express it. Other controversial figures would be like Justin Bieber, and he used to be just known for controversy. He has so many lists of things that he has personally done that wasn't exactly the most appropriate or accepted behavior. Now, these cards here aren't telling me you're that extreme. It doesn't say that like you're a rude person or you're like whatever. In fact, people kind of see you as, very polite, very like down to earth in a sense. Like they see you as more of like a respectable person, but they really do find you to be very eccentric in your interests and the things that you like. So that is basically the main controversy that's coming up, which isn't that bad. And the main people who are saying it is just generally most people you encounter will have this opinion of you. Just because we have like the World and the Nine of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups, a lot of people see you in this life. It isn't just in this life, in this light. It isn't just like one specific group of people. Just generally people see you as somebody who likes to just do things in their own unique way. And this could even be like the things you like to wear, the things that you like to eat, the things that you invest your time and money in. Maybe you might have a different perspective of things, and you might be very opinionated or outspoken about what you believe or intellectual fallacies. They don't see you as somebody who is going to necessarily always accept what is politically correct. Another person who has a Sestabisha placement, I believe Dave Chappelle has a son in Sestabisha. And as I mentioned before it was cut off, Dave Chappelle is known for his recent controversy with Netflix and the transgender community. So a lot of Sestabisha people can be very like outspoken. I've seen them very outspoken when it comes to political causes. Anything having to do with activism or general systemic racism, sexism. Another Sestabisha person I believe is Ziwe. I think she has her sun in Sestabisha, or it might be her moon, but she has that show where she kind of asks people uncomfortable questions. I'm pretty sure it's like sun in Sestabisha, and I think her moon is in Bula, just based on the fact that how she asks her questions. And Sestabisha is kind of like her sense of humor about it, right? But basically you see how she's asking people all of these uncomfortable questions that are a part of daily interactions, how she may get into classism, beauty standards, racism, history, just kind of poke at the way that people perceive the world and perceive reality, because we don't all have the same reality. And it also reminds me of this quote by Trevor Noah, who is sun in Sestabisha. And basically the gist of what he was saying is that through traveling the world, he was able to see like a bigger picture, and it lets you see just how much, I think he said dogma that you've accepted in your own personal reality as fact. But in actuality, it is not real. It's just an idea. The way you choose to live your life, the way that you think, the way that society is set up is just that. It is just specific to that society. It is not the only way of life, and not the only way of thinking, and not the only ideas out there. So that was basically his realization through traveling the world, which kind of fits into, the world card in here, and the Ace of Pentacles being like valuables. So people see that you have a more broad perspective. You're more progressive. You're somebody who is able to look at and view the ideas of various different cultures. and to take a very critical look at this. And then not only that, but this could be saying you take maybe a non-traditional approach to relationships. Here in America, obviously a non-traditional approach would be just having a partner, not getting married, having kids, I guess out of wedlock, being in a relationship with somebody of the same sex. Those are all things that are very, 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 very sus to Bisha. And actually it's funny because I know I did a study on drag queens, and sus to Bisha was one of the most popular placements. So you see how it's kind of like counterculture. Granted, I think drag is more popular now, but it didn't always used to be that way, right? It used to be like very underground or not as placed and put into the limelight. I think RuPaul really became a huge part of that because obviously RuPaul's Drag Race, and RuPaul does have a Swati placement, which is a Rahuvian placement, just like sus to Bisha. So you can see how the Rahuvian placements are just like, hey, I'm going to take something that is not seen as the norm and I'm going to put it out there and let you see just how wonderful and great and creative or amazing it is to have a different view or a different experience in life. So that is what I have for you, pal number one. People see you as somebody who is able to open people's eyes to new experiences, somebody who welcomes new experiences, somebody who has certain values that aren't particularly just mainstream, someone who can like be a little bit of a mysterious type of figure, someone who can speak their mind, and somebody who exercises all of their options and even may be very progressive or very just opinionated in that way, but not in an aggressive way. I don't see any fire sign here, so people don't see you as like aggressive, but just somebody who has those sort of radical ways of living. So that is what I have, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number two, let's get started on how controversial are you? Don't mind my nails. The little rhinestones are coming off, but it happens. All right, so we have 5 of Wands, the 6 of Cups. Let me reverse this, actually. The 10 of Swords. We have the Justice card here, a High Priestess, and Puvra Ashada. Let's get this all together. So, it looks to me like you may be a little bit controversial here. You know, all placements bring a little bit of controversy. Puvra Ashada, I wouldn't say is the most controversial placement, but there are people from every nakshatra placement that can be highly controversial, just depending who they are, you know what I mean? So I'm guessing you guys are pulling in the very deep aspects of how controversial Puvra Ashada can be. So a lot of different people have Puvra Ashada placements. I would say Morris Chestnut is someone with the Puvra Ashada placement. We have, I'm trying to think of people, Johnny Depp, Puvra Ashada placement. We have, I don't know what YouTube will censor or not, but Hitler also had a Puvra Ashada placement. Not to compare you guys with Hitler or anything like that. But I bring this up because, you know, we have the 5 of Wands here. We have the 10 of Swords. We have the Justice card. And one theme that I can see with Puvra Ashada, and I'm not saying you guys are like this because I don't want to offend anyone, is that a lot of people may get a self-hating vibe from you. And this could be like self-hating in terms of skin tone, race, hair, whatever. It could be anything. But people have a feeling that you may not love yourself, and as a result are taking that out on other people who would potentially be, I guess, your reflection. With this Five of Wands here, it's kind of like seeing people who are like you, or even people who are not like you, as someone to defend yourself against, to fight yourself against, or even just if you're in a place where you're somebody who's like insecure, the cards could just be saying that you're very, very guarded. There's a couple of ways that this can be interpreted, and it's going to be different for everyone because this is a general reading, right? And so it becomes controversial in that sense. Like, if there's one thing I've seen with Purva Shada, is I do see a lot of people who are either like I said, self-hating, or people will portray them to be self-hating. Or they will like see that within them, that they're like, oh, I this is the perception I have of you. So like I said, Hitler was obviously one of those people because, you know, he did a lot of horrible things to Jewish people, even though he was Jewish himself. I know Taye Diggs got in trouble recently for not even recently, but like frequently, because he had made some comments about, I guess, black people and black women, even though he's black himself, pertaining to something to do with like a lot of hate and bullying he used to get based upon his own race and identity. So he would be bullied for being black by other black people, for being darker skinned, or for talking in a more, I say, socially accepted way in America, which is going to be an accent which is predominantly more associated with people of European descent. So that's the thing that can happen. And as a result, a lot of Purva Shada people do have like this very like aggressive nature, or this nature where they feel like they have to fight, or they feel like people are constantly trying to attack them because they have had that history of needing to fight or having been attacked. And it reminds me, this may be personal, but I remember I went on a date one time with someone who was Purva Shada. They had Purva Shada placements. I believe it might have been their sun or moon. But basically they were telling me about their childhood, and something that happened in their childhood is that they were attacked by people, like a group of people had attacked them and bullied them. So it just gives them a more like defensive sort of nature. So in that sense, people can see you as somebody who isn't very giving, or isn't very like open. That could be the word for it, because we have the Six of Cups reversed, and when it's upright, it's like somebody's like giving someone something, taking care of them, catering to them, you know, making sure they're all right. You're like, this is my friend, this is my family, like I want to nurture you, I care about you, etc. And so a lot of people are feeling like they're getting that vibe where you're just a little bit more like, I'm not helping you out, like you're on your own, like, or it's just kind of like channeling, like you've had some rough memories or experiences within the childhood, or even a childhood where you may have felt like unprepared for the future. And that could be in terms of like having to figure out finances at a late age, having to figure out what you want to do with your life later in life. So it really kind of creates a little bit more of a struggle sort of energy, or like an aggressive sort of energy. Now, if this is not you, feel free to choose another pal, but I'm just letting you know what the cards are kind of saying here. I'm not trying to really insult anyone. So you become controversial in that sense, okay? Because people are just like, why is this person, so defensive, or even feeling like they're being like competing with you, or like they feel like, oh my gosh, this person's like attacking me or something like that. And that may not even be your intentions. You may just be opening up about your own life, and people may feel just attacked by that. You know, that happens all the time, right? If you say, I was bullied by a group of girls, people might be like, well, what's wrong with women? Like, why are you saying like all women are attacking you, right? But you just open up and about your experience, and that could be anything for any situation, right? So people are getting that sense from you, especially with this 10 of Swords energy. It's like very gloom and doom. And it's funny how I mentioned this person being like kind of attacked. And then Johnny Depp has the Puvra Shada placements. And not only that, but Ashleisha. And I've kind of noticed guys with Puvra Shada and Ashleisha placements, they can kind of get bullied or even attacked by women. Like any guy it can happen to, but it's just something I noticed that happening to more of with those particular placements. But that's just something of note for me that I've just seen. I haven't done like a complete study on it, but basically, yeah, it becomes you become controversial in the sense where people feel like you're always, you know, very aggressive, like very much like grumpy, or even just like in attack mode or in defense mode or something along the lines of that. So that's like the controversial aspect of you. And it may not even be all the time. It could just be like a portion or a little small part of you comes off that way, right? So the people who are basically saying this, I would say they're probably people you generally keep more at a distance from these cards. Probably people more within a, it's not a social environment that people are saying this about you. This could be professional. This could be part of some sort of like group of some sort, like a gathering. I don't know if you're part of any like spiritual groups or along the lines of, could really be anything with these cards here. It could be part of like a creative group. It could be part of it could even be an online community with justice here, because that kind of connects to like the internet and etc. and public opinion, or just like the general public. But with these cards, it lets me know it's people that are not close to you that are getting these impressions of you, or getting that sense of like, oh, I don't know, that sense of hostility, or from you, or feeling like, oh, this person just doesn't like me, or this person may just can have a negative way of thinking. But that's some of the things that comes with the Puvra Ashada nature. It can be a very aggressive placement. Another thing that I've seen with this placement, which is funny that we get the sign of justice, and that has to do with marriage, is I've seen a lot of, not a lot, but a good enough handful of Puvra Ashada people who may have some controversy when it comes to adultery. So it just reminds me of, gosh, what's the guy's name? He was like the host of Cheaters, but he was like a cheater himself, and he had his son, I believe, in Puvra Ashada. Was it like Peter Guns? Yeah, he had his son in Puvra Ashada, and people just found it ironic that he was kind of being a little bit more hypocritical in that sense. Not saying that you guys are cheaters or anything like that. So I think what it is they feel like your views when it comes to even relationships or certain interactions or opinions that you may have about relationships, people, judgments that you make, etc. People may feel it may be hypocritical in a sense. This sounds like I'm reading you guys for filth, and I'm really not trying to at all. Okay, I'm trying to sort out the controversies. I'm trying to see what people are saying. It doesn't look like people are like, oh, this person's a cheater. I don't get that vibe, but I get this vibe that people are trying to say, like, I think that the way that you see relationships and etc. is either not balanced, or it's very much like, it's very much a from a perspective of like clouded thinking. Like people feel like that there's like a instead of rose colored glasses, like it's like the opposite of that, which, oh my god, it just clicked for me. Oh my god, I don't know how this didn't click for me before. Yeah, Puvra Ashada, I've seen a lot of people with Purvarashada, they kind of get this, especially women, they get this association of being like man haters. Like the straight women, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's funny. Because and now, oh my God, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm like a loss for words, because I was wondering, I was like, what is these cards trying to say? And then it clicked for me. I started thinking about all the Purvarashada people that I've like looked up. But yeah, they get this reputation of kind of like, who needs a man? Or, you know, men are, you know, they don't have any, men aren't funny, men aren't, emotionally intelligent. Like, they kind of poke fun at men. It's not like super harsh, right? But it's like they poke fun of men and say, oh, like, why did this guy think blah, blah, blah is funny? Why is this guy a fan of Joe Rogan? Like, they kind of like, they kind of like downplay men or something like that. Like, they do things like that. So I think that's something along the lines of what the cards are trying to say, whether that's for women or men or whatever gender you're into. Like I said, these are just the Purvarashada people that I have looked at, some who I've followed, some who I've just like seen or whatever. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's it. That's exactly the vibe that I get from them. It's not like an evil vibe. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bother, you know, looking at them. But but that's just the nature. They're kind of just poking fun of just like, men can't dress, and I look all glamorous, and this guy doesn't look like this, and you know, like something along the lines of that. I think even Cher might have her moon in Purvarashada, and didn't she say something like God, it was like a famous quote, and it was like a news reporter at Haster, like, I gotta look this up. It was like a reporter or a television host. They had asked Cher, are men important? And then Cher answered, what for? Okay, so Purvarashada kind of has that attitude. So that's what I think the perception becomes like, oh, that's the controversy ish, like along that vibes. Okay, that's not this, doesn't have to be that specific vibe from you guys. You know, it's basically, they just feel like that you have a way of thinking about relationships, people, interactions that can be perceived to be towards the negative or dramatic direction. Okay, I hope you guys don't get too upset at me. Like, I'm just reading what the cards are saying, and I'm just trying to tell my truth. But I know some people may be like, oh, get super defended. But I'm just honestly giving you what the cards are saying. So those statements become like the most controversy. Similar to Pile 1 and number 1, you guys are a little bit of a mystery. You guys are a little bit more private. And that's not uncommon for Purvarashada people. A lot. I think J. Edward Hoover, the FBI guy who was gay, hid his sexuality. In fact, I've seen a few guys who, I mean, obviously I'm not about to like out them, but I've like known a few guys who've had Purvarashada placements who were in the closet, and that is something that I have seen to be very common among people who hide their sexuality, which is funny because the prior placement, Mula, is known for being the most openly out there in terms of homosexuality. And the following one, Purvarashada, is one of the most closeted. And it's obvious why, because there's a lot of social rejection that comes along with being, you know, free and who you want to be. There's a lot of haters in this world, and a lot of people who will not accept people for who they are, even if they're not doing anything wrong, right? So Purvarashada people, very secretive, so people do get like a secretive vibe, not necessarily hiding your sexuality, but that could be part of it, just because that's a common thing for Purvarashada people. But definitely people feel like that you have some secrets, and these secrets are, I don't know, they just feel like they don't know, they don't have the full well-rounded version of who you are because of this High Priestess energy here. They're like, I know that they know it. They know that they are seeing what you are presenting to them. Okay, both of these cards are facing forward, which means you can't see what is behind them. And you see both of these have a veil behind them. So they're like, I know that they know that there's something there. They know that there's a veil behind you. They know that there is an element of you and your personality that is being hidden. Okay, and they don't know what it is, but but they do know that it's being hidden, and people just get that vibe. They're like, I know there's something that this person is not telling me. And it could be something simple. Like I've seen hoover shot of people, like they're just like, they may hide the fact that they're smokers, and they don't want people to know about it. Something along the lines of that would be very Puvra Ashada. I'm trying to think of anything else. They may hide the fact of like I said, back into like adultery, people who they've been in relationships with, people who they may have hooked up with. Some Puvra Ashada people are just like a little bit more free when it comes to their sexuality. So they're not like, they may hide who they've been with in that sense, or things like that. So experiences that they may have had, places they may have gone. These are things that are very much like very hush hush sometimes. Okay, so that's what I have. I'm trying to think of anything else that could be be important or anything like that. Oh, I almost forgot. One of the main controversies a lot of Puvra Ashada people run into is controversies with drugs, drinking, any sort of substance or illegal substance like that. There's some controversy behind that. Injustice there could be like indicative of legal troubles and whatnot. So another one was it Jenna Bush, arrested for drinking underage, or at least got in trouble for drinking underage twice within like a 5-week span. We have Johnny Depp, who obviously is on trial, and part of the controversy is the fact that he has done so many drugs and he's drank a lot, and he has, doesn't have the longest periods of sobriety. Okay, so that's another thing that becomes a major theme within their life. So it could be lifestyle choices. That seems to be the main thing. Lifestyle choices that are made are the thing that becomes the most controversial. And so people may be judging your lifestyle choices, or if you've even had any legal troubles, then people may feel like, okay, I think that person may be like, I don't know. Some legal troubles. It happens, right? Like if you get a DUI, if you get reckless driving, if you be pulled over for weed, underage drinking, things like that. It could be like misdemeanors, could be caught stealing. Those are the things that I have seen for this placement in particular. That's the main thing. And so I will see you guys next time, and au revoir. Hey, pile number 3. Let me get started on your reading. I took way too long on the last pile. But let's get into it on how controversial you are. We have the 3 of Wands, the World, the Fool, and the Hierophant, and the Emperor. And then we have Anuradha. Okay, let me look into this. Devotion, intuition. I'm just taking this all in. Well, from my observation, since we have Anuradha here, Anuradha people aren't super controversial. Not to say that you won't find Anuradha people who've done things that are like wild or, out there. But for the most part, in general, I don't find them to be controversial figures. What will happen is they may be talked about a lot, because I think I've mentioned this before, where a lot of people will kind of be all up in their business and kind of scrutinize like every little thing that they might do. Something in the case of Britney Spears. But when you really step back, like and look at Britney Spears' actions and behaviors, she hasn't really done anything that's extremely controversial. I think the most controversial thing she did was thing that might have been like immoral, you know what I mean? Was like ride with her kids in the front seat, right? Like on her lap. But other than that, you know, she has been the center of stories for like shaving her head, I guess kissing Madonna, having like, I guess more sort of like sexually explicit videos or suggestive videos, like when she first came out. But for the most part, I wouldn't say those actions were immoral, at least maybe not on her end, but they're a little bit maybe more shocking. I'll say that. Like, it's more shocking rather so than like, oh, this is something to be judged. But at the time period, it was just seen as like the wildest thing, right? Now, you know, not so much in comparison to what we have going on today. So that's usually what's the thing that happens with Anuradha. There's a little, like, you may be a type of person who kind of does like just a lot of normal things. Just wanting to express yourself, wanting to be left alone and etc. But you may have a lot of people who are fairly up in your business, and maybe they want to place these boundaries on you so that you are more like, I don't know what the word is. It's more like this innocent, good girl, good guy vibe. Like, that's a theme that I've seen with a lot of Anuradha people, which is why I've seen like a lot of Anuradha people be like porn stars, which that may be controversial, but I mean, we're not getting into that. But I've seen that, like, so there may be a lot of boundaries that people may try to place on you, or want you to behave in a certain way in terms of relationships and stuff like that, sexually. I would say that's probably the biggest area of controversy that Anuradha people will face, is their views on sexuality and their views on sexual expression. So if you're a person who is maybe just a part of the LGBTQ community, if you're a person who is just very open about having a non-monogamous relationship, if you're just non-traditional, if you are a little bit more provocative with the way you dress, or how you speak or express yourself, or even not even that, because I know an Anuradha native, and this is Alison Mosshart from The Kills, and she and her bandmate Jamie, gosh, I can't remember. I love this band too, but you know, my mind is blinking. Like, Jamie Hintz, there we go. Her and her bandmate Jamie Hintz, when they first started playing, they were so used to like playing towards each other. So they would just like face each other while they would play. I guess it was just a result of like comforting thing. So when they would perform on stage, they would play together and they would face each other while they would play. And so the crowd would mistake that as being like more like sexual tension, because it's a guy and a girl, and then they're just kind of just looking at each other the whole time, right? So she didn't really do anything provocative, but it was seen in a way that it became sexualized in that way. I hope YouTube doesn't like give me a big old red mark for, you know, saying all this stuff, you know, but it's just normal things. So it became like that. So you could be a person who is just completely kind of normal, even more reserved and shy, but people are perceiving it to be sort of like this mysterious sexual aura or something along the lines of that. But you could be somebody who is completely more of an innocent mind state, right? That's another case where the controversy may be. But generally, I would say, like, looking at these cards, because we have the Hierophant and the Emperor, generally you're a person that a lot of people may find themselves paying a lot of attention to, and because of that, you know, your behavior will be a little bit more scrutinized. I don't know if it's just, it could be like your position in life, could just be your personality is very friendly and out there, and you know, goofy, etc. like that, which wouldn't be surprising because we have the Fool And then not only that, but one thing that I've noticed about honorata people, if you look at them in movies, they can be seen as stern or whatever, but most honorata people are kind of like goofy, and they like to laugh a lot. And it's kind of funny because when I was doing like different types of beauties, when I was looking at my reading on that, and I was looking at Saturnian people, and a lot of Saturnian people, you won't find a picture where they're not smiling, okay? So they just like smiling and laughing a lot. So if you're just more of like a carefree spirit, it's going to attract a lot of different people, you know, negative, good, bad, whatever. Some people just kind of want what you have or envy what you have, and that's the case so far. But yeah, 100%, if you're coming off very like lighthearted, very like open, very friendly, then that's something about your personality that is really kind of drawing people in. But people really do feel that sense of strength within you. They feel like you're someone who is confident in themselves, someone who even could be very principled, somebody who has very strong beliefs, and somebody who can be seen as what's the word I want to look for? I don't know if it's like somebody who's like maybe like someone to look up to, or someone who has a lot of guidance, who can be seen as someone who has a good amount of wisdom to them, a lot of knowledge. And so in that way, that's going to be a part of the reason people are kind of like taking that look at you, okay? And I don't think they're saying too many things that are particularly like hater, negative, or whatever. And these people are generally people within your community, and people you interact with when you travel and go places. Just because we have the World and the Fool card, this is the impression that you're giving people. You're giving people an impression that you're somebody who may be well off, and somebody who has like a very strong family support, and you're giving the impression that you're someone who can, you know, take care of themselves and who's very like independent. And like I said, you don't really come off too controversial. There isn't really much to say with this reading. You guys are just not that controversial. But like I said, people will nitpick things. They will talk a lot of craziness about you, or try to switch things and make things seem a lot more out there than they actually are, just because you're someone who may even be having good intentions, who may be somebody who's, like I said, minding their business, doing their thing. And then you have like the people who have the green eye of envy coming for you and things like that. You also will get people who just kind of want to be like you, who want to follow in your footsteps, who want to go a similar path. Like, you just come off very strong, and maybe even a little bit intimidating in that way, especially to newcomers. But it really is more people so in your community, in place of work or school, or some sort of institution, because the Hierophant is like my card of like institutions. So it could be along the lines of that. And like I said, people you generally will meet. If you're somebody who travels a lot, people who you generally meet in your travels will have this vibe about you, okay? And I'm trying to think of anything else I could possibly say with how controversial and what they are saying. I mean, they're saying you're just like one, tough cookie. They're saying you're somebody who is, like I said, can be a little bit more naive, a little bit more trusting, but somebody who generally has good intentions, more of a free spirit, putting yourself out there, just going for it, having that courage. And, one thing that people may see is that they may feel like that, sometimes you can be like maybe too good, too trusting, too forgiving, or something along the lines of that would be the kind of, controversial thing. It reminds me of this one Honorata native, and she's very famous. I think she believes she was one of the first Black congresswomen in New York. Shirley Chisholm. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I mean, I actually looked her up and studied her and like looked at various videos on her, but you guys know how my memory is just like fried, right? But yeah, like when it comes to like remembering names, at least, like I've been trying to practice so hard to remember names. Like I've been playing memory games. That's besides the point. I don't want to get on to like my own, like trying to up my memory game, but basically she had a slogan and it was like unbought and unbossed. And it just kind of goes to show that she was somebody who had very strong principles, like this very Hierophant card here, someone who was their own boss, like this Emperor card. Her saying really kind of summed up Honorata, right? But she was also had this like the full like quality, because she had this controversy where she visited a rival opponent when she was in the hospital, which is not something a lot of people would do because she had such, I guess she had more of a good nature. She had more of she took a chance and put her hand out in faith, right? She was connecting to this person on a human level. How he took it, I don't know. That's between them. He could have tried to take advantage of that situation, or etc., or tried to manipulate her. But from her perspective, she went in there and was like, I'm gonna just treat this person like they're a person who's been hurt and connect with them, even though we're supposed to be rivals. Another thing, like I said, Honorata people getting issues for their sexuality. Katy Perry had that whole thing, kissed a girl. Britney Spears, also controversy when she kissed a girl. If I look up other Honorata people, there seems to be like more controversy about, you know, them coming out. A lot of Honorata people came out. I don't know why this particular placement, or even just, like I said, being connected to the adult film industry, being rebellious, things like that, being like more like, I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. And like I said, you may not be doing anything wrong, but it's just that society may not accept your decisions. So that is what I have for you guys. Pile number 3. You're not super controversial. In fact, people kind of see you as somebody who lives their life in a great way. Doesn't mean you won't have haters, but for the most part, people see you as somebody who has good intentions and has good thoughts and very positive. So I will see you guys next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 4. Let's get started on how controversial are you. We have the Chariot. We have the 8 of Swords. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the 10 of Cups. We have the Ace of Wands. And we have Danishta. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So in terms of controversy, I don't know, because the Chariot and this Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands, it's kind of like, you know, it's giving me, it depends. It depends on like the day, your mood, like how you feel, how, you know, how outspoken you want to be, how confident you're feeling. It really all just is very changeable. But for the most part, what I'm getting here is that you're on the more like tame side of Danishta, because Danishta is a very controversial placement. I mean, it is known as what, the most famous. This card says the most benefit one, but you know, most famous, most benefit, whatever. That's pretty much Danishta's slogan. And I believe that is because they have a lot of kind of like, what's the word? Star power, talent, able to seduce the masses, because Mars, Danishta is a Mars replacement, and Mars is connected to seduction, obviously. And Danishta is in the sign of Aquarius. So when you have a Mars ruled nakshatra in the sign of Aquarius, it's like seduction of the masses. So most famous, right? So for you, I'm getting that it's more like you're somebody who may even be a little bit of a people pleaser, which I can see sometimes with Danishta people, where they don't want to be very aggressive. They want to, you know, keep the peace, etc. But it doesn't really work out like that way for them, because Danishta is a Mars rule placement. And so Danishta people are going to be attacked. So from my viewing this, it's like for the most part, you're somebody who is, you know, stays in their own lane, minds their business, etc. However, because we have the Chariot here, there's obviously some bumps on the road. There's obviously some people, maybe even people close to you, because we have the Ten of Cups and the Ace of Wands indicating like something like familiar, family, closeness. And the Ace of Wands reverse can also be kind of like jealousy. So there may be some people close to you who are jealousy or be resentful towards you. And thus, I wouldn't say you're controversial, but it's more like your happiness or your peace rubs them the wrong way in some sense. So I guess the answer to the question is you're not very controversial. Maybe if you get mad, if you lose your temper, yeah, maybe. But for the most part, from what I get from these cards is you're more so of the shy sort of nature, Danishta energy, the more timid one, the more reserved, or at least the more controlled, I should say that, because Danishta can be about like learning how to control your anger, your emotions, sadness, etc. But you do come off as somebody who is a very emotional person, somebody who can be very endearing, thoughtful, caring in those ways, wanting to take care of others, as well as like nurture yourself, and etc. With the Chariot and the on the Eight of Swords, it's an interesting combination, because it's like you're going for things, you're very ambitious, but then you're also, it's either like you're holding back on some of your ideas, or you may feel like, oh, I don't know if people are going to really like how I present this one, or I present this idea, or this conversation or belief or something that I have. And so I think you're less controversial because you're more so somebody who's going to hold your tongue, hold information back, which is interesting, because normally Denisha is kind of like a chatty placement, and they're known for like rumors, gossip, you know, think of like Wendy Williams. She's like a Denisha placement. You have, gosh, what's his name? He was an ex-mob boss, Michael Francis. He's on YouTube. Like, you can just look him up. And he, I believe, has his moon in Danishta. If he doesn't, I'd be really shocked. And he's kind of known for like spilling mob secrets. I mean, he doesn't tell everything. Obviously, he can't, but he gives you enough information that you would otherwise not have, like an insider point of perspective, right? A lot of Danishta people are known for being real chatty and kind of, you know, having more of a loose tongue. So that's one thing that is possible. So it's more like you're a little bit more mature, or maybe you've just learned that, yeah, I need to, you know, hold my tongue sometimes and learn to control those impulses to say certain things. And that's why you aren't as controversial, because you have that knowledge and you have that foresight, and you're figuring out how to, I guess, express your emotions in a positive way with this Ten of Cups here. So it's like you're holding back on certain expressions, or you're controlling certain emotions that people may see in order to have a less controversial image, is what I'm getting from you. People are going to get the more positive side, especially with this Eight of Wands reverse. It's letting me know that people aren't getting the full-blown passion from you. Like, they're not getting everything. A lot of the stuff is behind the scenes. I'm trying to think. As I said before, like, yeah, you're just generally not super controversial. If anything, I'm trying to think of Danishta themes here. When it comes to, you know, the sexuality and etc. Yeah, I do get the feeling that people are very curious about your romantic life, but it's not like a controversial thing. They're just like, oh, I feel like this person's holding back. I feel like this person is more reserved in that area, or they don't have a lot going on, or they don't have anyone around them that excites them, or it's just kind of like if you're in any relationship already, then this is just saying that people kind of believe that you're keeping a close, I wouldn't say a close guard, but you're keeping your lips sealed when it comes to private matters within your relationship, and that's something that people will notice about you. Trying to think of anything else a Denisha theme here. A lot of times people will kind of like talk about, like I said, Denisha people's kind of love lives or sexual lives and things like that. So that's something that could potentially be a controversy. But in this reading here, from what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like that. It looks like people just feel like there's no gas. They're there. They're just like, I don't have enough information. As much as I want to know, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. That curiosity's been tempered because they don't have anything to go off of, is the thing. All they can do is maybe talk about your family life, your home life, maybe, but even that is kind of like, where's the drama? Like, they're just like, I feel like you have people around you who are just like looking for that spiciness and looking for that drama and looking for that controversy and looking for like any sort of wildness or messiness going on, and they aren't finding it because you're just very protective in that way. Very protective of your energy is what I'm getting from this. Like, it's really hard to get that that chaoticness about you, unless they get really close to you and have a very like deep emotional trustworthy bond. They're not going to really get that I don't know, that craving that they need, that craving, that emotional craving, because to people, you're just coming off as someone who is very likable in a sense, just a little bit more shy, as I said before, and very much like family oriented, very much like protective energy, very ambitious person, someone who is just very much a very calm kind of energy for the most part, is what is the main thing that I'm getting. Yeah, it's like a very like emotionally abundant place that I see for you guys, and the energy is very positive, at least currently it is, and so there's really not much to say. There isn't. It feels like you're that mature part of Denisha. When I see like the maturity of Denisha, like if I see a mature Denisha person, there's somebody who has a little bit more self-awareness. They're more likely to be very like protective of other people around them. They're someone who is going to undergo constant transformations and insights, and learn to be a little bit less selfish, a little bit more focused, hardworking. And I think people see that energy within you. It's the more like mature Denisha energy going on here. Maybe they feel like they would like you. This is weird because it's not like controversial, but I feel like they want to see more from you. Like they, not even just like drama, just generally they want to see like whatever you're planning in your life behind the scenes. You know, what's that popular thing that people say, like move in silence? They feel like you're kind of moving in silence, and they want you to, I don't know, move in the open, move in a talkative way. Like they want to hear from you is what I'm getting. And from this reading in particular. So yeah, that's really it. You guys aren't super controversial, which is crazy because there are a lot of controversial Denisha people. Like, I think it's because you guys are very like a little bit more protective of your energy that you're not getting that, at least from this reading. That is what I'm picking up on. And so they can't really see too much going on. Yeah, you're just trying to like survive and thrive and do well, and taking your time with getting to a place that is satisfactory. But yeah, that's really it. I mean, I don't know what else to say, guys. You guys aren't very controversial. You're very positive reading, like very positive energy coming from you guys. So I will see you guys next time. Au revoir. Pile number 5. Let's see how controversial you are. We have the Four of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, Temperance, the Star, the Moon, and Rohini. Okay. So I'm going to say, since we have the Moon here, before we got cut off, I was talking about Rohini and how this is kind of like saying that you're controversial sometimes. Like, because we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is representing something that's changing, and then Temperance is kind of like a balance. So it's just very, same with the Star. You see it balancing two things, like you're pouring it in the water, you pour it on the grass, you know, it's going into 2 different cups. You know, you got 2 different animals here parking at the Moon, 2 different wolves. It's kind of just like, it's changeable, which makes sense because we have Rohini, which is a moon sign, right? And the moon is a changeable astrological figure. So people kind of feel, and it's also interesting because we have the Star and the Moon, and that's like night and day, right? Seeing how the Star is a sun, right? So, you know, you get close enough. I mean, we see stars at night, but we know stars are just suns, right? So very bright, very vibrant. So people kind of feel like, oh, there's more than one side to you. So 100% you are definitely a controversial person, but I'm trying to figure out what the thing is that's making people, I guess I'm going to have to go and look at Rohini. And from what I gather with Rohini, what usually makes them a little controversial is, what's the word? There's a few things, and I'm trying to like relate it to this reading. From what I'm seeing, because we have Temperance here, and Temperance can be about assimilation. What can make somebody Rohini controversial is the not aggressive, but the need to assimilate, which is interesting. It may sound like I'm contradicting myself on this, but moon signs I've seen the strongest, particularly with black women, because, you know, obviously I'm going to look at black women more because I'm a black woman, but I've seen them either have like these extreme point of views where they're like all for plastic surgery, or they're just like all natural, all this, like, you know, it's like it floats to 2 ends of the spectrum, which can also be like maybe how people feel about you. Like maybe they feel like your perspectives on things change a lot. But what I'm trying to say is one of the ways that Rohini expresses itself is that it's either going to be like aggressively let me assimilate. For example, I'm trying to think of a Rohini person. So for example, we can use Harry Belafonte. And if you don't know Harry why can't I speak right now? Harry Belafonte is a famous singer, or was a famous singer. I guess he'd be more like infamous now when you're like less famous. I don't know if that's the right word for it. But basically, I mean, he's still alive. But basically, one thing he said is, I believe this was to Eartha Kitt, where he said, a black woman can't do anything for me, even though he's black himself. And the reason he said this was because at least in America, we live in a society which black people are obviously seen as a lesser class, or treated as a lesser class within American society. Like that's just a given. You could just open any history book. You could look at any sort of laws, how people are prosecuted, certain areas where black people may live, redlining. There's a whole history, right? Of discrimination in America. And so one thing that I see moon ruled people do is they will try to assimilate themselves to a perceived image, which is perceived to be more acceptable. So they, like in Harry Belafonte's case, he'll be with someone white. Like he'll say, I'm going to, you know, marry a white woman. I'm going to date white women. just because they're going to provide him with more status. Or he may date someone who is of a lighter skin tone because they're going to provide him with more status and more acceptance. And so that is the thing that I have seen very frequently with moon ruled people. I mean, you could look at someone like Nick Cannon, or he's going to date a lot of women who aren't going to be, they may be black, but they're not going to be dark-skinned black women. That's like a more of a moon ruled thing. And a lot of moon ruled people, and this is not even, this is not all moon ruled people. Like I said, they float through two different extremes. Sometimes you may have a moon ruled person who's just like, I am only dating my same race or something like that. Like every placement has extremes, right? And it doesn't even just have to be race. It could even be culture or something like that. Or like I said, skin tone, whatever the case may be. I'm like tethering off and going down to a little tangent, but basically people may find you controversial because they may feel like you have some views which are assimilating to society. It doesn't have to be based on race. It could just be maybe you're like somebody who you're a woman, you're like, I only date tall guys, which is like something we promote heavily within a Western society. So people are just like, oh, okay, this person wants to date a tall guy, or like, I only date muscular men. And they're like, okay, this guy or girl only wants to date muscular, fit men. Another thing that Rohini people become controversial for is gender roles and gender expectations. So I don't know if you have any particular gender roles or expectations you guys would like within a relationship, whether the person who is more perceived as masculine or feminine has certain roles, like, oh, the masculine person pays for dates, or the feminine person is a stay-at-home dad or mom. I don't know, because, you know, you could be a feminine guy, right? So that person may be a stay-at-home dad or mom, or like, it's just whoever fits the more masculine or feminine role has that traditional, traditional role within a relationship. And that's something I've seen with a lot of Rohini people. Like, okay, the man is the provider, or at least, you know, maybe the person who is more masculine is the provider, right? So things like that. So people may feel like, oh, that's very controversial, the way that you think, that you have these sort of like strict boundaries on a gender or relationships. And you can even see that with, I did a video on Shravana, which is a moon ruled nakshatra, just like Rohini. And one topic that came up was like gender roles and expectations, which is similar to what I'm saying now. Rohini goes through the same thing. I had talked about how Candace Owens, who I believe, I don't know if she's her sun or moon and something Shravana, but she has a Shravana placement, and she was saying some tweet like, where did all the masculine men go, or the manly man go, and something like along the lines like that. But then you have somebody like Harry Styles, who's on the opposite end of the spectrum, and he's over here like wearing dresses and stuff like that, or wearing clothing that is attributed to more feminine things. So it could either go either way. Maybe you have a very traditional perspective, or maybe you're super anti-traditional. Whatever it is, it's usually like a more extreme thought or an extreme reaction, or like just floating through different areas of that perspective. Like, you know how some people, they may dress in a way that's, you know, masculine sometimes, feminine other times, but then there's some people who, like I said, are, I guess Harry Styles would be like that more extreme example, where it became a huge topic of conversation that he wore a dress. So yeah, you could be the opposite of that, and it just depends, okay? So Temperance is over here like, sometimes you may go to this, I'm for this traditional role, or sometimes you may be like, I'm super anti-traditional, and, you know, I don't care about gender roles. Sorry, hold on. Move this to kill, there was a spider, guys. Anyway, so that may be something that's controversial for you, your perspective on maybe gender, status, assimilation, things like that. That could be something that people are thinking about. But other than that, it's not like people see you to be like this super crazy out there type of person. Definitely sometimes they may feel like they don't know what to expect. There's a little bit of a mystery to you. There's a little bit of changeability within you. But the people who are saying this are generally people who are going to be within your friend circle. People who, I'm trying to think, Temperance is usually like at a distance, I would believe. Sometimes it could be people who are in the same kind of like, if you go to, if you're in a school, you're in a university, this would be that, like, oh, people of the same like-minded. This could also be like people who follow you on social media or something like that, because Temperance can be people who are, like I said, similar-minded, like a set of beliefs or something like that. Or even it could possibly be like if you're somebody who's a very strong member of your church and you go to it, then this could also be that. But those are the type of people who are saying things. I think people really do find you to be a more tranquil person. It's not like you're very combative. Like I said, you may have some views on, gender, relationships, sex, etc., that people may find a little bit controversial. But for the most part, it's not like you're coming across in a very aggressive manner. And because you have that transformative mind that takes in a lot of information that's always constantly changing, people understand that you're a person who is of a high intelligence, because you're always trying to gather and take in more information and learn and grow. And that's something that maybe some people can't keep up. Maybe some people feel like you had some ideas in the past and then they don't know you that well, so they still think you have those ideas. But from what I've seen here, you're somebody who really does change and grow, and that's just a part of it. Some people maybe not be able to get with the program when it comes to your evolving thought process and along the lines of that. And this can also be like, oh, you may have some controversial views on motherhood and things like that as well. But that's, or fatherhood for that matter, and things like that. But it really does have to do with, it's not really like ignorance. It's just a matter like you socialize and you meet people and you gain new perspectives. And that's the thing with you. So I really do think the controversy just lies in the fact that they feel like you have a changeable nature, and the fact that you're always kind of like changing your mind on things. But you're always changing your mind because you're always learning more and you're always coming to understand more. So that's what I'm getting from you. But like I said, for the most part, people really see your nature as very like tranquil, very docile, somebody who has a very like approachable nature, somebody who's going to be very much like, yeah, just very sociable, generally very likable. Another thing, because we have the Moon card here, and Temperance, sorry for the but with those combinations, that could possibly be for some people out there, and this is just a small group of people, it doesn't have to apply to everyone. It could have to pertain to using substances to mentally take you, out of the present moment. I've just wanted to mention that because I have seen that with Rohini a few times, which I don't think many people mention it, but you do have people who Rohini, like Angelina Jolie, Russell Brand, Marilyn Monroe. All of these people have abused different substances. And so I only mentioned that with the Moon card and Temperance here because I have seen that, like, oh, let me be somebody who mixes a lot of different substances that aren't necessarily always legal, or at least good for you, and makes you kind of like see stars, you know what I mean, with the star card here, right? So yeah, that's another thing that could be a controversy. If you have any sort of habits like that, then that would definitely make you controversial. And also maybe just like your general nightlife, that could also just be like that. Like, it could be like, oh, this person's like a party animal, or this person, this is another one. This person is always like going on dates, and this person is always like talking to this person and talking to that person, and then this person always has a boyfriend, or this person always has a girlfriend. That's something I see a lot with Rohini, but moon rule placements tend to attract a lot of different people, so it's not really surprising. So from this perspective, it just kind of looks like, oh yeah, you're somebody who just kind of may be seen as somebody who, I don't know. I hate these the phrase gets around, but I don't know another phrase to use. So they may see you as somebody who's, has a lot of different lovers, or has a lot of different people that you talk to, and etc. like that. That's something that people will see. They just see you as somebody who has a lot of romantic partners, or at least maybe they feel like a lot of people may be interested in you, and so they just assume that you have a lot of romantic partners. Whatever the case may be, that would be the controversy. So you're not super controversial. It's just like moments here and there. But for the most part, like I said, people really find you to be like a good personality to surround themselves by and to be in the presence of. So that is what I have for you, pal. Number 5, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research, and I'll see you next time. Au revoir.